Up next, we have Kleros Legal Systems, Stuart Jackson, Communication and Social Media at Kleros.io. He is the lead on communication for Kleros. He's been involved in crypto world since 2010. And Stuart decided to work with Kleros, a dispute resolution protocol. Let's see what this is all about. Stuart Jackson, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Much. Are we on here? So first of all, I want to give a thanks to Vít and everyone here at Liberland who put this on. It's a pleasure to be here. For those who were expecting Clément, my CTO, he is feverishly writing smart contracts. That's why they sent me. I actually live in Belgrade, so it made sense. Just before I get into this, I'm from the UK, and Liberland, I've known about it since the start, but since its inception. But as I've lived in the Balkans, it becomes more and more apparent how important such a place could be. The UK is a dystopian hell. Maybe many people would disagree with me, but it really is becoming that way. And something like Liberland is a beacon of potential freedom for people like myself and all those other disenfranchised, disaffected people who are just not happy with the current setup. So let me talk a little bit about Kleros. So we're actually already in a partnership. Last November, we agreed a partnership with Liberland to take their governance as and when they see fit, as and when it's ready. So we're basically a decentralized, autonomous Ethereum organization. We provide dispute resolution for, hopefully, the masses at a very cheap price point. Most disputes are never called upon because they're too expensive. So first presentation I've ever done, so you're getting memes. That's what you're getting first. There's a point to this. I mean, everyone thinks of, you got to get, you know it. Everyone thinks of, not everyone, but the vast majority of crypto is people who are interested in financial speculation, the Lambo talk, what percentage of gains can I get, how many 1,000% am I going to get in X, Y, or Z shitcoin. So basically, it really isn't that. When Satoshi released the code, it was a shot at the market, the banking systems, the economic failure of everyone involved in that, but really it was a shot at the governance. That's how it got to that stage. It wasn't necessarily the bankers who did all the bad trades and all the economic hardship. It was governance that got us there, or lack of it. So we're a combination of technologies. We're basically looking into pooling jurors from around the globe. You can be anywhere. You take part on disputes that have been brought on our network. You're also incentivized to do so. Obviously, we can guarantee the integrity, transparency, security, efficiency of such disputes on the blockchain. So just as an example, what do we actually do? So you're a website. You need a website, and you're looking to employ somebody, a freelancer, let's say, from away around the other side of the globe. And you ask them to build your website, and they don't really do what you've asked to do, or you're not happy with it. Ultimately, the cost of that website is never going to be enough to go down the legal route to sort it. Why would you bother? It's hundreds of dollars. Maybe you've only paid a couple $100 to get the website done. It's never going to happen. You've lost out. So one of our main areas that we're looking at is things like, resolution and freelancing, e-commerce. There's a brief example here. But ultimately, we hope to allow people who've taken out contracts, be them freelancing, be them arbitration of any sort, and allow them to be resolved very cheaply, should that happen. So there's loads of use cases. We have e-commerce, we have crowdfunding, copyright, insurance, consumer disputes, social media, online gaming. All of these things are ripe for decentralization. I don't have to tell anyone here about the kind of horrific systems we have with your Googles and your Facebooks who've got complete control of all our knowledge, of all our information, of all our data. The time is very close that we're going to move off this, in my personal opinion and my team's. This is the future of decentralization. Decentralize everything. Why not? So we go where lawyers don't. And before I go any further, we're not trying to get rid of the rule of law as it stands. Kleros is an opt-in system, so before you create your contract, the two parties will opt into the smart contract. X says yes, and Y says yes. And if everything goes to plan, it's paid, the smart contract releases the funds, you get them, that's it. However, if it doesn't, the dispute opens. And actually, there's a huge, huge percentage of disputes at the moment that are never, ever claimed because of this very reason, because it's too expensive. Lawyers are very much on board with us, actually. They see that the whole legal system could be more efficient with this type of dispute resolution. As it's an opt-in, we're not aiming for the more heinous crimes, shall we say. No one consents to murder, for example, as heinous as it sounds. So we're really going for the low-hanging fruit at the moment. So we do this, how do we do this? We have a token, it's the PNK, Pinakion, which is actually from the Greek. The Greek method that they used, a thing called a kleroterion, and every member of society had this Pinakion. They could basically insert it into this old stone device, and they would be chosen potentially as jurors in the ancient Greek democratic methods. So we use this to select jurors, to incentivize them, and also to vote, liquid voting in the governance platform. These are some things I'll come back to at the very end for our links with Liberland. So how do we incentivize them? So basically, there's arbitration fees and there's token redistribution. We use something called the Schelling point principle, which was developed by Thomas Schelling. Very briefly, it's a focal point. If you and a friend turn up in Paris, you have no means of communication, but you have to meet each other. How would you go about doing that? You have no phone, you have no contact, what are you going to do? Well, research shows that actually most people would choose 12 o'clock noon at the Eiffel Tower. There's no reason behind that necessarily. It just seems like the best focal point to meet. Champs-Élysées or Notre Dame is no better or any worse. That's just the one that people choose. This is the focal point in action. And we're using this same ideal with the added bonus of incentivizing jurors to vote coherently and therefore earn money. They can earn money by voting honestly. So this is kind of the backbone of our system. So we have, this here is our kind of a rough idea of what it could look like, the subcourt method. So basically, if you're a juror that has expert in e-commerce, or you're chief. Chief is actually our Nairobian chief who's in Africa on his smartphone, and he actually knows a lot about e-commerce. He'll make a few $1,000s a year being a juror on the Kleros platform. So basically, he could choose whichever subcourt he wants to be in, and deposit Pinakion as his stake. He's then chosen randomly. There's a pool of jurors which we choose randomly using random number generation. I won't get into that for now. And basically, the jurors are then tasked to look over the evidence and to vote. And obviously, they're incentivized to do so by our token. If you vote coherently, honestly, you'll be rewarded. You'll be rewarded by extra tokens of those who voted incoherently. So if you join the system and just randomly click A or B, ultimately you're going to game yourself. You're going to lose at some point. You can't always be right. You have to assess the evidence. You have to see what's going on. You have to take your time. And, ultimately if you do that, you'll vote coherently and you will then gain arbitration fees and ETH. So are anonymous jurors to be trusted? Well, as mentioned here, I think Satoshi kind of probably proved that with releasing Bitcoin, the Bitcoin source code. Basically, Bitcoin network reaches consensus on a certain number of things, but it reaches consensus through anonymous actors. No one knows each other or needs to know each other. However, they reach consensus because they're properly incentivized. They have, they have minor fees, or technically they have a financial incentive, much like ourselves, which is what we're aiming for. So yeah, we extend this principle to human decision making. So taking the idea of anonymous jurors, they can reach consensus by taking the time, voting coherently, and earning money, which is, I guess, you could say the key. So this is our vision. We want to be involved in everything. We want to be involved in e-commerce, social media, car sharing, travel, whatever. I only have a minute and a half left here, so I want to get onto Liberland. So yeah, as I say, we're partnershiped. What a lovely bit of land that is, isn't it? That's pretty nice. It's all right. So yeah, we basically, the idea with Kleros and Liberland is to become their governance mechanism. We want to be the protocol that makes the decisions between the citizens of Liberland. So Liberland needs, what does it need? Well, it's at an early stage. It needs to develop its governance system, as a country attracts citizens, investment, markets, economic markets, all these type of things. There needs to be some sort of way to resolve this. What better way to do it than on blockchain? So basically, we can provide this mechanism for disputes occurring between citizens. I believe in Liberland there'll be some sort of merit points. each citizen will have points on their merit on what they've done. If they've done a criminal action, they'll lose merit points. These can be the essential parts of the Kleros system. It doesn't have to be our token. Our system can be forked to be internally just with Liberland. It doesn't have to be an external system. We could use it as a fork using any rules that Liberland see fit. The punishments of the citizens, the arbitration fees, the sub-court fees, whatever it may be. Basically, that's what we plan to propose, or we have proposed and we plan to build. So yeah, just going back to the earlier slide, it's the same one, but you could basically take these out for any type of Liberland disputes. It could be between citizens, it could be land rights, it could be water usage, sewage, whatever. It could be any number of these, and it could be internally with Liberland. So my time is now up. I think that's basically it for me. I've kind of covered it already. If anyone wants to ask any questions at the end about how our system works, I'm sure myself or Vít will be happy to answer them as best we can. And we look forward to an amazing partnership with you. So thanks for having us again, and it was a pleasure speaking to you all.